What up, YouTube? Cam That Guy here. I'm back once again with another YouTube video. In today's YouTube video, I'm going to be talking about me getting stage 2 pink eye. You know what I'm saying? This is a little story I'm just throwing up on the channel, you know what I'm saying? I think it'll be interesting to talk about. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and get into it, man. I'm going to talk about my stage 2 pink eye experience. So I ended up getting stage 2 pink eye in grade school. You know what I'm saying? This was one of the worst eye disorders I ever had. You know what I'm saying? I thought, you know what I'm saying, I was getting ready to go blind or something, you know what I mean? I would wake up with a lot of crust in my eye, you know what I'm saying? Eyes was very pink, very red, you know what I'm saying? All that other shit, right? So here's how we're going to begin. I got off school one day, right? And I noticed that my eyes kind of felt a little weird, you know what I'm saying? They felt a little itchy, a little off or whatever, right? I'm just thinking, you know what I'm saying, just, you know, a little irritant, you know what I'm saying? I just, you know, probably something weird in my eye or whatever. Didn't think nothing of it. Went to sleep, you know what I'm saying? After I went to sleep, I woke up, you know what I'm saying? Lost some crust, and my eyes very red, you know what I'm saying? All that other shit. I couldn't even open my eyes. I couldn't open my eyes. My eyes were shut like this. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't open them, right? When you get something like that when you're young and shit, you know what I'm saying, it could definitely startle you, you know what I'm saying, put you a little, I'm trying to think of a word, right? I'm trying to think of a good vocabulary word. In simple terms, you know what I'm saying, it just makes you scared and frightened, you know what I mean? But anyway, so, you know what I'm saying, try to go get with my guardian, you know what I'm saying, all that other shit, right? And, you know, we ended up going to the hospital and shit, right? Well, first, before I went, obviously, my guardian helped me get all my crust and shit out of my eye and shit like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Help open my eyes, you know what I'm saying? But even so, my eyes still wasn't all the way open. It's like one eye open, one eye closed, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's what ended up happening, right? I was like, oh my goodness, like, am I dying or something? What the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? I never knew a pink eye like that even existed. You know what I'm saying? That had to be like one of the more like scarier moments for me as a child. You know what I'm saying? It was to go through something like that, right? Man, I went to doc. You know what I'm saying? I went to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? They obviously told me, you know, I got a higher grade pink eye. They prescribed me some drops. You know what I'm saying? I'm going through the drops and shit. But check me out, though. You know what I'm saying? I get to stay home. I'm staying home and shit, right? I'm having a blast. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing the video game. I'm playing Dragon Ball Z. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing Emperor's New Groove. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? You know Woo! You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? Yeah, man. What about the video games out there, man? You know what I'm saying? Back then when I would actually play video games. The last time I was locked in on video games was 16 or 17. After that, never played again. You know what I'm saying? I grew out of that shit, right? But anyway, it was definitely probably 16, actually. Probably 16. I say 17. I think I definitely stopped. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. I could be wrong, though. But anyway, yeah, man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, you know what I mean? I was staying home and shit. And I had to go through that same process. I had to put the drops in, right? And I remember when I get the drops in, it was like, man, you know, so I hated getting those drops in because the bitch, my guardian, would have to fucking do it for me, right? Because, you know, I'm young and shit, right? I don't know how to, you know what I mean? I don't know how to, you know, apply eye drops. So, you know what I mean? I remember, you know what I'm saying, not too long ago, I remember my two younger cousins, they ended up having pink eye or whatever. And I was seeing them get the drops put in them. And the younger one, you know what I'm saying, August, she'll cry every time when she get drops. I thought that was funny, right? You know what I mean? Of course, I didn't cry, you know what I'm saying? It's nothing to cry, it's a drop. It don't hurt. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, it just makes your eyes watery or whatever, right? But she would act like it was like painful or something like that, right? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? But Milena handled it well, but I just, you know, I think August was just so over dramatic. But anyway, I, you know, get my eye open, get the drops put in and shit. You know, all that other shit. But, you know, obviously, you know, I had to, you know, keep washing my hands. I had to stay isolated in the room, you know what I'm saying? All that other shit. But at the same time, it was nice for me. I was on a little vacation. I'm not gonna lie, when I was in elementary school, I came across a lot of viruses, right? And to extend this video, we're gonna talk about the other viruses I caught in elementary school. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about how I got ringworm. You know, so let's talk about ringworm, right? So I ended up getting a ringworm around here or around here, right? It was on my chin or whatever, right? This is pretty much a skin infection that you get from a dirty bitch. But nah, on a serious tip, you know what I'm saying? It's you could get it probably just from touching an item on a serious note. You could get it probably from like touching an item or something like that, right? But I ain't getting a ringworm, right? And when I got this shit, I was like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? It looked like a big gash. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looked like. I had a big gash right here, right? You know what I'm saying? It looked like somebody burned me. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looked like, right? You know what I mean? So I ended up getting that, right? I ended up getting like a ringworm or whatever, right? You know what I mean? And I had to put like cream on it. It hurt so bad. Like when I put cream on it, I felt it like throughout my whole body. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I felt it on my inner side and shit. I just felt that shit. It hurt so bad, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't even want to wash my face. Like it hurt that bad, you know what I'm saying? That's one of the worst infections I ever got. Had to stay home because of it, you know what I'm saying? All that other shit. It's not a common infection to get, especially nowadays, but it can still be caught. You can still get something like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's what ended up happening to me. I ended up getting that and shit like that. What other infection did I get in elementary school? I caught the flu, obviously, you know what I'm saying? I never really talked about the flu. Now, the flu definitely can butt heads with pneumonia. You know what I'm saying? It could definitely do it. But I would say, if I had to say which one was worse, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, with pneumonia, I felt like I could tolerate it. Like, I had pneumonia, and I was still, like, moving around and shit. But obviously, as time went on, it started to get worse and worse and worse. I remember when I had pneumonia, right? It was one of these times when I didn't know I have it, but when I was close to figuring out I had it, right? I was like laying down, I was just like holding my chest and shit. And I threw up and shit like that, all that shit, right? When you have pneumonia, it just feels like it's like you getting like it's just like your lungs hurt really bad. Kind of hard to breathe. You feel like you're about to throw up. You don't feel like eating. You know what I'm saying? You just feel like laying still. All that other shit. You know, I kind of forgot a little bit of symptoms. But as far as the flu is basically you get body aches, throw up, watery eyes, all that shit in between. Flu is definitely worse than pneumonia, but just because pneumonia happened to me more recently is probably why I'm leaning towards pneumonia being worse. But definitely the flu is worse than pneumonia, right? Because the flu, I remember when I had the flu, I was out for like 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? I was out for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? I was like, couldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? I had to stay home and shit. And obviously, I want to let people know, when you come across any type of infection, you develop antibodies. So there's a less chance for you to get it again. You know what I'm saying? So antibodies, when your body becomes used to the infection and it produces that, like some type of bacteria to combat that virus if it comes to your body again, right? So I definitely got antibodies to fucking pneumonia and the flu and other shit like that, right? You know what I mean? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Antibodies live forever. You know what I'm saying? Antibodies is not something that, okay, this only happens for a couple months or a year. It lives forever. When you come across a big infection, it lives forever. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, you know what I'm saying? I end up, so the flu, I remember how I came across the flu. I got off school one day, I started coughing and shit. I started sneezing, stomach started hurting, all type of shit, right? And then next day, you know what I'm saying, I had to go to the hospital, you know what I'm saying? They said, well, you got the flu. So I had to take all this medicine and shit. It was terrible, very terrible, you know, so all that other shit, right? I wanna bring up one more story, right? But let me end off this flu shit. So that's kind of like how the flu went. If I remember correctly, like I said, it was just body aches, stomach, you know what I'm saying, throat, sneezing, eyes, ears, you know what I'm saying, all that other shit. It took a little while, you know what I'm saying, for me to get going and shit. But like I said, you know, I was chilling and shit during my last couple of days of the flu. You know what I'm saying? I felt good and shit. You know what I mean? All that other shit, you know what I'm saying? Playing video games, doing all that shit. Whatever the case may be, right? You know what I mean? Anyways, you know what I'm saying? Last but not least, I want to talk about strep throat. Now, when I tell you I've caught this a lot, I fucking hate strep throat, you know? So that's one of the worst things ever, you know? So thankfully I don't get it no more. Probably because I developed enough antibodies or whatever, right? I ain't gonna lie, I haven't got strep throat probably since like high school. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when I had strep throat, right? Let me tell you what they had to do to me, man. They had to hold me down. They had to hold me down and stick that Q-tip in my throat because I was not going. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a gag reflex. So y'all see me how I struggle with swallowing pills and all that other shit. I don't do well with shit in my mouth, like on my tongue. I naturally gag. I gag very easily to a touch. Okay, so that's the reason why I was like, when they was trying to do all that shit, I said, bro, I ain't going. But I remember that they had to hold me down against the bed. They stick that thing in my throat. Throw up everywhere it was. Not all the time, but sometimes I'll just choke. I'll choke very loud. And then, I'll end up crying every time after that shit. Cause, I did not like that shit. You know what I mean? But strep throat, you know what I'm saying? It's basically just when a bunch of bacteria gets in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? All that other shit. Very bad. You know what I'm saying? It feels awful. You know what I mean? But obviously, I just took liquid medicine. It'll be recovered in about a couple days. You know what I mean? But obviously, you gotta stay home for strep throat because it hurts so bad you can't even talk. Like, it feel like every time you talk, somebody's fucking scratching your throat. Hurts like fuck, so all that other shit. One last infection I want to talk about. I want to talk about how one time I ended up getting a thrash. You know what I'm saying? I think this is what it's called, right? I'm not sure if it's called a thrash or something like that. But I ended up getting like this tongue infection, right? This tongue infection was so crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I thought my tongue was getting ready to fall off. Okay? This was a very, very bad feeling. You know what I'm saying? My tongue turned like purple. You know what I'm saying? That's how bad it was, right? I don't know how this happened. I was brushing my teeth, all that shit, right? I had to take medicine for it. But like it came to the point I couldn't put nothing in my mouth. So in other words, I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. I didn't want to talk because my tongue, it hurt so bad. I thought my tongue was like dying. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was like my tongue was like, it was dying. That's what it was like, right? You know what I mean? But I ended up taking medicine and shit for that. Ended up getting recovered and all that other shit, right? I stayed home for that. I believe I stayed home for that, the shit I got on my tongue. I'm not 100% sure. But that was definitely something, you know what I'm saying? That's definitely something rare. That's not something that people get. All the other shit I named is something that people get. That tongue shit, that's not normal, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how I even got that shit, you know what I'm saying? But that was like, that was probably like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, you know what I mean? It was pretty bad, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's pretty much all the major infections I pretty much had. And this is just, add extra shit to my videos that I got set up today and shit. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.